Okay, there we go. Hello, folks. This is Rob Gould for the Golden Nugget. And this week, as I told you on Instagram and all the socials last week, that we weren't doing one last week. And this week, we are starting off big and wonderful because today we have got the wonderful, the only Brian Maxwell.
That's me. I'm that words that you said. Hello. Hello, everyone. Hello, all you wonderful golden nuggets. You are so delicious and tasty.
Hello, Brian. I just want to thank you for coming on board here for this evening. And that, so as I say, I have got you here for a couple of reasons. Because one, you're a very good talker, and also a very good listener. And so what I want to talk about is this evening. So I know you're very, very into your kind of Lord of the Rings kind of stuff, and
Ever so slightly.
You're very good with voices. So I just want to delve into that, just that wee bit of information about voices, and just to give the people sort of like a kind of cameo to what you kind of can do for those out there who love to hear voices.
Well, it all started when I was born, and then I started talking, and then I was left alone in my room with cartoons and sugar, and then the voices started. Not in my head, but from my actual voice. And I would have rows in the playground in school about, no, it doesn't sound like that. It sounds like this is the way the voice is. And I, for whatever reason, anyone who's into voice acting, it's acting with the voice. It ties into musicality. So I'm not a musician, but I will rock a karaoke session like nobody's business. And the idea of listening to people and hearing characters in shows and stuff, I have my wife driven demented. Because she can see it when I see a character on a show that I haven't seen before. And it's like, oh, new one, new toy. I've been trying to learn how to do a Canadian accent. Have you watched Letterkenny?
That is something I haven't actually feasted my eyes on yet.
Oh, it's so silly and good and unique, and it's Canadian cultures is all I can tell you. It's about. It's just it's so good. And there's a heavy wrestling tie in there as well. There's a particular clip that goes down very well. A lot of wrestling references, which is what piqued my interest.
Yeah.
But the voice is that like the main character does. I've been really trying really hard to get me head around it, and it's the strangest inflections. So like they start the show out in a cold open. All the lads banter together, and it's always introed kind of the same way. So it'd be something along the lines of, so I was on a podcast with my friend there the other day. And then they just fire into it. And I've been at that particular inflection for ages. And if anyone has seen Letterkenny, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you can tell me how bad that was, because I've not practiced it enough. But I know when a voice is okay. Because I get, you just know. It's like when you're playing football. You know when you scored the goal, it goes in the net. So the thing with, said Lord of the Rings, everyone loves a bit of Gollum and Smeagol, don't they? Isn't he a great lad altogether?
He's a catch. He's a catch, some would say.
Yeah, I mean,
see, people would say I am really good at kind of catching the slippery fish, but don't give me any of those stinking chips.
And that's but one aspect of that voice, isn't it? That's Smeagol. That's the nice fella. We like him. He's lovely. What about the other fucker? The heel?
You don't have any listeners or podcast viewers, Rob. No, it's okay, Rob. You're really good. Don't listen to him. He's just jealous. No one wants a podcast with you. Well, I don't want to be on your stinking podcast anyway.
It's not something you can throw yourself into lightly.
No, it's definitely something that it's definitely something that you have to kind of, work your way towards building up to doing, especially not just one voice, but especially whenever there's two voices in the one character, but two different characters all together, in a sense. One's good, one's
Alone all the time as a child. I had to entertain myself somehow. But that's for people, there's two aspects of voice acting. There's people like freaks like me who can do multi-character stuff, and then there's people who are they're the same voice all the time. You hear them all the time. There's no different or no better or worse. And this isn't the voice acting thing. This is just a gimmick, arty thing that I can do. Nor am I a professional, but people want to give me money to do silly voices. Yes, please. And I can do so many. I'm so good value for money, much good value for money.
very, very much so. And I know so because I've heard so many of them in my time so far of knowing Mr. Wonderful Brian Maxwell and his voices. Folks, if you want some voices, pay him some money, and he will do whatever voices he can do and whatever voices you want. Yeah. And he will give you value for money. There was something in value for the euro.
There was something in college that I was the hired assassin for people's projects when they were stuck for something. So if they wanted a voice and they didn't know anyone who could do it, they'd be like, "Here, Brian, can you do this?" I'm like, they tell me this on Friday afternoon. I have to go over the weekend to try and learn something. The first one I had to do, that was a beautiful Northern Irish accent. The sketch involved slightly insidious, slightly stereotypical Northern Ireland people being very, let's say, balaclava-y. And there's nothing more terrifying than a real rough Northern accent. And at the time, I didn't know there were people, shall we say, royalty on this island, and they were kings of the north. I didn't know they existed at the time, but the voice sure did live in me. Buy my merch. The second I hear an interesting voice, it's like getting a new toy.
Yeah. And
for people who are into it and like doing voices, you can't help it. It's just do you remember Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yes.
The film with Robin Williams.
Oh yes.
Do you remember the scene when he's in the jobs office and your one says to him, "Do you have any special skills?" And he says, "I do voices." You remember that?
Yeah.
I've just realised at the ripe old age of 35 that not everybody who's seen that when they saw that exact scene and heard that exact line went, "Oh, this is what I want to do. I want to do voices." No, most people were just watching a film.
Yeah. and that's the thing too, because what I find is sometimes, especially even when you're younger and you're watching, whether it's a cartoon or whether it's a film, you tend to pick up on voices early because you want to try it out. Even if it's just for fun, you're just watching it back. It's like, I can talk like this, and then you're like, where did that come from? Do you know what I mean? It's like anything you watch on TV can relate to anything that you try to do or anything like that. And that's why, sometimes you get so many different people doing so many different types of voices because they're suited to maybe a more rougher tone in their voice, because sometimes they have a more natural tone to the way they talk, or some can go high, some can go low, some can go right down low, nothing high. So it's, and as you know yourself, it's sometimes it's hard to do for certain people. I remember even whenever I was younger, in choirs in school, I was probably one of the only lads that was actually in a choir, and all the rest of them were girls. So I had to, so I had to suit my voice to them at a young age. And luckily enough, when you're younger, your voice is can easily go higher compared to what it can do when you're older. And that, so I was glad that I did that when I did, because now I would not be able to get as high as I can so quickly and singing.
I don't know how I managed it. I don't know how you managed. That was beautiful, by the way. Fantastic. My dogs loved it. There was something. I think I forgot that. I forgot to have a deeper voice. In the scale of deep voices, this is it. This is what you're getting. This is unprocessed, unfiltered. This is what you're getting. And for whatever reason, through various tips and tricks and just old-faced obsession, I just got in, and you just start it's playful and it's fun. There's nothing stopping anybody. Like, if you were to take that kind of higher voice that you had there, and if you worked on that for like 2 weeks, and then you'd be able to continue speaking entirely just in this voice all the time. No problem. You have to be mad enough to keep doing it. Some people just kind of do a little bit, and then that'll do them, and they're like, all right, grand, that's enough of that. It's like, no. Do it to the point where you're genuinely upsetting the people around you. You want to be so well practiced at the voice that your friends and family never want to hear that one again. And then you have it dialed in, and you're ready for the party.
That's the thing too, because I mean, like, the more you hear that, and you're trying, especially like, say if you go at it for like, if you're going at one voice constantly for 2 weeks, and you're just keeping it going and keeping it going and keeping it going, and then the more you find that you're talking like that to normal people when you're walking about, you're like, we'll have to get out of this voice again, because you're so used to like just walking about, in that voice, and you're just talking to everyone just randomly on the phone. It's like, hello, who's that? And then you're like, oh, sorry, hello, who's that?
Yeah. Like, I worked in Carol's Irish Gifts, the souvenir store, and there was a particular voiceover in that shop. I don't know if they still have it now, but it was Carol's Irish Gifts, best for quality, best for value. And that was just on all the time, and they played the same 6 songs over and over again. Do you know, in music theory, about time signatures, 4/4 time, as in 1, 2, 3, 4, it's probably not even right, but 4 beats in a bar of music. Irish music doesn't have that. The human heart beats in 4/4 time. Irish music is mental, as it is week of St. Patrick's Day. Irish music doesn't have normal time signatures. That does things to a person. Strange. Weird things. You start seeing things, Rob. You start imagining that there are, in fact, leprechauns running around the shop. And you go, oh my God, there he goes, the little fella, look at him.
The worst about it is you can't actually see that happening.
I got to do that. I got to do that to tourists for like 7 years. I got to play around and do voices until I was told to stop. I had that. I mean, my boss came up to me, was like, you have to stop doing voices. Like, why? I spent an entire day as an American, just for fun, to the point where I realised my pretend American accent didn't even suit my face. That's the level of lunacy that I've allowed into my life. But the idea that I started out with, I had an American accent just kind of like that, and I just kind of played it off, and this is kind of like, it suits me a little bit better because I do naturally have a higher voice, kind of like this. Yeah, I couldn't tell you where this is from, couldn't tell you where in the great United States of America where this could be, but I even know the way I'm speaking right now that my articulation in the way I'm speaking isn't exact. I still have a little bit of Irishness in me, so I'd have to say to people, it's like, oh yeah, I grew up in America and I came over here, I was about 10, so I have a bit of a muddled accent, so which is the way I could get away with it. And the lads on the shop floor are looking at me going, what is this freak doing? You have to be very careful when you're doing an accent of a country that doesn't speak English. Because if you try doing an accent of a country that doesn't speak English, and you sound like you're from the country that doesn't speak English, they expect you not to speak English.
Yeah.
I pissed off a few French people doing that. I was like, hello, welcome to Carol's. I'm here to help you as much as you would like. This is fine. And they're like, bonjour, comment ça va, les parlez de vous, and I'm like, fucking oui, bollocks. Yes. Also, don't do voices of countries that don't look like the person you look like. I'm not going to do those voices right now, but I will after we're not live here, Rob. I can do that for you. But I can do the voices of the people who don't look like me, and that's fun, but possibly racist. Apparently.
Yes. Some people say, doing certain voices in certain ways and certain accents can be sort of, toward pushing the racial bar as such and that. But the way I see it is, if it's in humor, there shouldn't be anything wrong with it. But that's just me. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm a humorous character in my own mind and my other friend's mind as well.
All of them. They're all here. They're all here.
Here. Here.
Just pluck them out of the air some days. Yeah.
There's John, there's Michael, there's Thomas, there's they're all here. All the cousins of the third world countries. They're all here.
The lads.
The lads from the flats. But yes, so as I say, obviously, we know how, say you're good with voices. So how did you actually get into doing the voice work yourself? Was it just a case of you watched a bit of TV, you seen a voice that you liked, I'm going to give this a try and see what it likes?
It was always just, it's something you don't think about if you don't do it. Like, why does a person play football? Why does a person play the violin? Usually because your parents tell you to do it. My parents didn't tell me to do voices. And for some reason, I didn't get any attention doing them either. No one asked me to do them. No siblings, cousins, aunties, uncles, or anything. It was just me on my own. No one told me to stop. That's what the problem was. No one said that I shouldn't do it. I stayed away from it for ages. It was just something I kind of dabbled with in my own time, and I just kind of played around and sat in my room and talked to myself. And then I got into college in 2008. She'll fucking date me. As Emily said, 35 wonderful years on this world. And I never knew that I had any kind of practical application at all. I didn't even think of voice acting. I didn't even think of anything like that. I was just like, this is just something I do. And then we'd start doing radio dramas and whatever it is called now, podcast shows. And they're like, you'd write a script and be like, that voice would be cool. I'd be like, yeah, I can do that. What about this voice? I can do that. What about this voice? Give me till Monday and I'll be able to do that. And it just was like, this is the thing. Great. More of that, please. More.
And the more voices you done, do you think it was better practice doing more voices, or was it easier doing more voices, or is it harder doing less voices as such? Because some people, as I say, sort of have a bit of a mixture whenever it comes to the more voices they do, the more lost they feel when doing voices compared to maybe doing, say, 2 or 3, where they have more, time to do those 3 voices compared to, say, doing maybe, say, 20, 30 different voices.
It's such, if you're naturally inclined to do it like I am, it's such a compulsion you don't even think about it. But for people who actively are trying to do other ones and are trying and it's all about curiosity. It's all about fun. There has to be an element of giddiness about it. That's what does it for me.
Yeah.
Can I do this? I wonder what that would sound like. What if I was speaking right now and I made me voice just a little bit gruffer? It's the exact same voice, but now I sound like somebody's granny. How are you there, love? You all right? Wrapping paper, 2 for €3. free strawberries when every purchase a Toblerone. And there's all these like ways that you can mess around with your voice, and you can make a noise. Everyone just thinks, yeah, I talk like this, and the air comes up here and does weird things to the vocal cords, and then that happens. But what if you just kind of spoke a little bit tighter lips there, and that changes it completely differently, and you don't even have to change your voice at all. It's all about the mechanics of the face. You can throw a lovely lisp on it if you like. Little bit of a lisp there now, that completely changes the inflection now, doesn't it? You wouldn't know who this was. I like to call him Anthony. That's the name I gave to his voice. Anthony. So come here now, you go. See you now, Golden Jocks. I tell you again, like David Beckham, I tell you, you can bend around my wall any day of the week. Certain things, they just happen. It's oh look, I'm nothing like a Robin Williams or a Jim Carrey, but these lads, these wild fellas, I just love seeing people changing their inflection and their face. And Whoopi Goldberg is one to look at. She's fucking brilliant. And it's the difference of your physicality can completely change the way you are. You notice something different every time I do a voice. Harry Potter. You just get into it. You'd be surprised if people think it's just high or it's just low. Yeah, that's grand. But that's a little word. Can you hold an entire conversation? Can you have a bit of fun, answer a few questions, maybe even sing a little song in the same voice that you're doing? It's all trial and error and fun and testing it, and you listen back to it. You listen, like you can record it on your phone. You can just listen, repeat, and go, maybe a little bit more there, maybe a little bit higher. There's so many different ways to get a high tone anyway. Most people think it has to be there, but a higher. But it doesn't necessarily have to be there at all.
There's this. If you kind of squeeze the voice and make it like that, then it becomes something entirely different. And it can be anything you like. And if you take this type of voice, and then you can add a little bit of this, it's a completely different person. You want me to make
I have been tested. I'm kind of mental. I know.
And that's what we love. We love that. and that's the thing too, because I mean, some people don't bring their own personality to the voice as well. Some people like just to try to sometimes mimic the character that people maybe want to voice it, but then to give it your own spin, you would put your own sort of, your own characteristics towards the actual character, with whether it's facials, whether it's the way you do the voice, whether it's, as I say, just, your mannerisms, and things like that. And people sometimes don't actually see how much work actually goes into doing those types of things, as well as the voice as well. Because I mean, yes, there's plenty of practice has to go into each voice, but when you're doing, everything else to go with it, it's a bit different. Sometimes people find it trickier doing that compared to the voice, and sometimes it throws people off the way people, see it. But
like your own everyone's natural voice, I think, has its own place and its own range of characters that could play into anybody's natural speaking voice. And there's nothing wrong with that. Everyone has natural characteristics, either physically or vocally, that is going to be so much more valuable than someone like me who does like parody versions of already existing voices. I struggle with doing stuff in my own voice. You ask me to read a script as a character, even if I write a script and I write, the second I have to do something like just in my own vocal range, I'm fucked. I can't, it's a real like block for me, because then if I just like throw on a character, I'm like, oh, off to the races. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to think about it. I'm following an already pre-existing pattern or a recognized pattern of like, oh well, if he's a noble knight on a quest, ha! You know, I've seen that before, so I know it follows a certain pattern, and then you can maybe tweak the writing. But like you see it a lot with people who play like tabletop RPGs, Dungeons and Dragons, and all this type of stuff. And the amount of work that goes into a character's background. I have a character. I've two characters that I'm playing in RPGs. One is on the Nerds Are Us YouTube channel that's in production, and it's Future Wrestling. It's a role-playing game based in wrestling, and my character is Captain Jack Freedom. He's American as apple pie, and who's to say what he does with the pie afterwards? It's he's an entirely different fella altogether, and he was an NPC character that was there for 2 seasons before I even got him. So he had a backstory, and they were going, here's a character for you, see what you can do with him. And I was like, oh, what do I do? How do I play? Like, how will I do this? Will I make him like kind of Southern? Will I make him kind of like that and be like, hey, I'm Jack Freedom, yeah, America? Will I be like, hey, like Eddie Kingston, Yonkers? Will I be kind of like that? Or bada boom, realest guy in the room. How you doing? Like, do you do that? Or even like, I don't know, man. What do I do? What's the funnest voice that I know of that I could do of an American person? So that Patrick Warburton and Markiplier.
Yeah.
Markiplier and Patrick Warburton. It's Patrick Warburton, Peter. Hey, Peter. Hey, Cusco, the poison for Cusco. The poison used to poison Cusco. That poison. That voice, but I love Markiplier. I've been watching him for years, but he did a thing called Unus Annus. And if you haven't seen it, you never will ever again, because it's been deleted.
Right.
And for those who know, they know, and memento mori to you. When he was doing that particular style of show, he had a particular way that he would speak. Markiplier. Hello, Markiplier. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye. I was like, how do I manage get the two of them together? Mm-hmm. And then the character, it grows legs itself as you're talking with people and workshopping with people, and it grows on its own. And my other character that I'm playing in a home game, a Dungeons and Dragons, we're playing The Curse of Strahd, of those who know. And my character is Urbana Romi. He's a Vistani, I believe you would call a gypsy, but I like to just say that I am me. And why wouldn't I want to be me? I'm beautiful.
Yeah.
Talk about having a personality trait that's similar in your characters. Both of them are very provocative in the way they like to communicate with others. I like to say they're consensual pests, you know, just on the playful side of, would you like to maybe go home with me? Excuse me, I've seen you from across the bar, and I wanted to say that you're beautiful, and I'd like to buy you a drink. No, thank you. Well, that's fine. But you have yourself a wonderful night, and thank you for your time. I'm working out a lot of personal things through these characters, as a happily married man with a nearly 2-year-old son. So my characters get to do things that I don't currently get to do in the daytime. So like, you can use it like that as a means of like wish fulfillment, or you can. It's a hobby. It's a hobby, and it's a passion that does have practical uses, maybe. But I'm still going to be doing this, like, regardless. And it's something that it feeds into so many different aspects of like storytelling and acting and just fun. And like for people who like it, they love it. And people who don't but are interested in it, you're interested in it for a reason. I wonder why that is. It's so
Yeah.
curious to see people try and think and figure out their way. And this is something I've been at since I've been alive. So it's something that I would be fascinated to see people just starting out who are like, oh, I was listening to the Golden Nugget with the Golden One, Rob Gould, and they're like, oh, voice acting, that sounds fun. And they go from, I'd be adored to hear what people are doing and how they're coming up with stuff and where they get their ideas from and how they do their thing. Like, it's like, why does a fish swim? Why does a bird fly? Why is Brian still doing those stupid voices? It's just the thing. I can't help it.
And that's the thing too, because like people with the voices, like I mean, like as I say, people get into it for, as I say, like differently. They might hear a voice on the radio. They'll be like, all right, voice sounds all right. I'll try this one, and then they might watch a bit of, Coronation Street, and they'll be like, oh, haven't done this accent before, and they'll be like, yeah. Do you know what I mean? So they'll pick it up in different things, and then, as I say, I think the more I'd say the younger you would be, and the more you're watching TV, and the more you pick up the voices. I think the fact that you hear all these voices, and you're going like, okay, quite a lot of these sounds familiar. They sound the same, so I'll go for that one, and then you can just roll off the top of your tongue different things and things like that. Because I've seen it myself, like even like whenever I was a very young age, all about 30 odd years ago, sitting watching cartoons, and as I say, you were watching, what would it be? Even like whenever I was still 15, 16, watching Rugrats, you were still, when you were still, sort of in bed just watching that, and you were like trying to do the voices between Tommy and Chucky and Phil and Lil and that, and you're like, you just, yeah, it's just one of those things. Sometimes, like, I mean, you could get into it a wee bit, but then you're like, sometimes it's just, you just lose track of which ones you would do and things like that. How do you keep track of which voices you're doing? So if you're doing, say, 3 or 4 voices, and say, like, for someone who's maybe, or even for something that needs a table read or something like that, and you're having to do you do them separately?
First of all, I would love, get me at a fucking table reading. Thanks very much. Please and thank you. Like, I'm absolute amateur hour. I'm a hobbyist and an enthusiast. But I'm very aware of where my voice is at all times. I'm very aware of vocal placement at all times. You can feel it. You can feel where, I know where my voice is and how it's resonating and how it'll sound, and like it's all physical for me. Some people are very can't explain, like they don't know the mechanisms of how a voice gets to where it gets to, and they're very much would use like a test phrase, and they'd use it that way. I know for certain characters, I'll have certain, you have certain words you might go to, or certain phrases that you repeat over and over again. But that's for like, there's still 2 categories of it. You would be very surprised what you can just do with your own walking around voice, with just a little bit of technique and a little bit of focus on how you're emoting. And it's all acting. Because you're ultimately, if you're thinking cartoons, you're trying to voice a cartoon character and put emotion to an animation that has no emotion to it. So the only way you can do that is vocally.
Yeah.
And there's something in that. If you had an opportunity to think, oh, well, I can't do voices, so I can't be a voice actor or do anything in radio or voiceover. I have a long-standing belief that the more authentic you are as a performer, the more you connect. It's the same with wrestling. It's the same with a lot of stuff, that people are kind of sick of people pretending. people want genuine, real, authentic connection and real emotion and real feelings, and that can be done. But what you have, without having to do all this vocal gymnastics, I'm a mental. I know I'm mental because the last time I cried, I saved it for later, so I could use it when I needed it. And it's something, and I've spoken to a therapist about it. It's interesting for some people, but for someone like me who's an active, energetic person, I have to get it out some way. And that happens in the reverse. If I feel a strong emotion, it rattles me. But then I'm able to tap into it and get out there. If I need to be happy, I can be there. I can be happy. How's it going? Yeah, all right. Having a good day. How's your ma? Great to see you. I know where that is vocally because I have been happy once or twice in my life. And the opposite scale, the opposite end of the scale, you can just, hi, yeah, all right, yeah, me, yeah, I'm fine. Why do you ask? And that's just me, and that's just my voice. But there's it's real.
Yeah.
And you can do that. Anybody can do that. It's acting. It's just voice acting. That's the difference. And I would be annoyed at myself if I didn't tell people that they could do it. But also, don't too many people do it because I want to do it too.
and that's the thing, because like, as I say, obviously, like, I know with voices that that you've done before and things like that. So give me a rundown of, like, say your top 3 voices that you would say that is your favorite go-to voices, and and also what's your least favorite voice to do as well as a voice actor.
The least favorite ones that I can do, I can't do now. Because like that, it's either a particular race or human being who doesn't actually look like me, and if I do that voice, people will get pissed off, or I look without actually doing it. Christy Brown, people with the needs that are special, I can do that voice, and some people don't like that because it can seem demeaning and disrespectful, but it's just a vocal trick for me. But yeah, I can understand why someone wouldn't want someone sounding like, I'm gonna say it, like you have Down syndrome, because that's not fucking cool to play that.
Yeah.
That's kind of bullshit. And there has to be a respect given there as well.
Yeah.
But they're the ones I hate doing. But as in vocally, one that I can do that I'm like, mine, this one. I hate doing this one. This one's shit. I don't like this one. That's why I do so many others. There's different categories. Like it's weird. There's ones I love doing, and then there's ones that other people love. My wife's favorite voice is a gentleman. I like to call him Hans. I used to call him Gunther, but then something happened with the famous wrestler named Gunther, and he became Walter. So I now call him Hans, and if you prefer, you can have him be Hans Gunther or Hans Walter, whichever you prefer. But he is my wife's favorite. You also notice that he's slightly more Urbana as well, my character. Where Urbana is kind of a little bit less enthusiastic. And of course, Strad is slightly, and you can go a little bit, and then it becomes Borat. And it's my wife, which is great when you do it, and then you realize how loud some of them are when you do a voice, and you're like scaring people on the loose. My favorite voice to do. I love mythical creatures and characters and all that kind of stuff, and I love like the big, scary, like the dragon at the keep. Who disturbs my slumber? You think you will take my gold. You will not take my gold. Rob Gould. I loved. That's my favorite voice to do. But and that's fun. That serves the story. Like I've done like a couple of mini series on YouTube about just like character voices and stuff. Just to like, it's like I have to do it somehow, some way. And that's fun. And that gets me thinking about storytelling and thinking about a character, and like it's just great to pretend and have fun. Like the equivalent to me being able to imagine a story based on characters I can do.
Yeah.
And I had a story about like a bridge troll. And he was just like this. Hello, I am a troll and you are on my bridge. Can you please give me some money and I will let you pass? It's like, I was like, what can I do with that? What can I do with that? Oh, troll with money. No one carries money anymore. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, right, I'll do that again. Right, yeah. This is the type of stuff that I kind of play into and I try and have the crack with, but like, that's just me trying to entertain myself because, you know, only child and left to my own devices. And you just start playing these games with yourself. Oh, yeah, good boy. Hello, dog friend. Hold on, I can speak dog.
I think my dog hears all these voices and he wants to do his own voice as well at the same time. Yes. Good boy. Yes, you're a good boy. What, do you want to make a podcast too? Is that what it is? The dog cast, they call it?
Yes. Yes. All the better for your dog is a golden retriever. No, on brand.
No, unfortunately, no. It's a wee Springer Spaniel.
All right, we'll keep him for now.
Yes, you're being kept for now. Oh, you're good boy. Yes, you good boy. Yes, you sit nice. Good boy. Here's a paw. Here's a paw. Good lad. Here's the other paw. Good lad. Now, Rex, go search me some heels.
Give me a beer.
Give me Gould Chats Monster. There we go. Thank you much. So yes, as I obviously the voices are wonderful. So just want to sort of pick your mind a wee bit. So obviously, you know, I know you're very good with doing promos and things like that. So I just want to pick your brain a wee bit here about this as well. So obviously, you know, I'm a big fan of wrestling as well as yourself, and so obviously with your voice work and things like that as well. What I'm looking at as, you know, someone who likes promos myself, if you were given a promo to teach someone new to wrestling, who would you base it on? So for those who maybe, like, you know, as I say, like watching wrestling but don't really know the gist of doing promo and things like that, this is a bit where people, you know, would sort of give, like, you know, a battle with someone whenever they're on TV with, or, you know, in the ring with, or at a ramp or on a ring. Who would you base your one off as such? And what would kind of be the best advice to give to someone who's just starting out on promos?
Be yourself. Be exactly who you are. Sit down in front of a camera and just read a Wikipedia article out loud. And there's the random article generator on Wikipedia, and you just read a little bit of the article, and then you think, right, how can I make this interesting? How would I do this if I was angry? How would I do this if I was scared? How would I do this as a good guy? How would I do this as a bad guy? Not even worrying about the phrases, how you articulate and how you can get across emotion without needing to worry about the words. The words happen naturally. Scripting is all well and good until you get out there and your first 2 lines don't hit as well and the crowd starts shuffling. The best part about doing voices and performing vocally is also listening, or to hear different inflections of people's voices. Like my favorite may not be everyone else's favorite, but you can see the way Hulk Hogan was. Let me tell you something, brother. You're gonna come and you're gonna try and defeat. It's like, okay, that worked for the time. And then you had the Macho Man. Oh yeah, you think you're gonna come and no, you're not. Oh yeah, and there's all of that, and everyone had that vibe for a while. And then you broke into the, into The Rock and Austin, and I'll give him credit. Triple H can hold a mic as well, but Stone Cold is fucking Steve Austin up to 10. Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Don't know if anyone's heard of him. He's a nice fella, a little amateur actor. I don't know what he's doing recently, but like he's himself right up with full energy and full enthusiasm, and full of anger or full frustration or whatever. You can see it the way Cody Rhodes is working recently. He has a completely different way of going about things. Like Jake the Snake is a mold breaker. A Mankind is a mold breaker. These guys who had a very different way of getting across a message to people. So you, as a performer, will have to consider what you actually are. You have to be very, very realistic with how you're perceived by other people. I cannot and never will be able to convince people I'm tough. If I do this, and this is my natural way of going. If I want to be authentic, I can do that. If I want to get a little bit more psychotic, or let's say, and you can go that way, but it's how you do it, and does that fit, and is it interesting, is it fun? And if you're thinking of wrestling, you want to be as unique as possible, and that's an entirely different conversation about marketability and engagement and all of that. But for promo, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
What are you trying to? Are you selling a pay-per-view? Are you selling the gimmick of the match? Are you selling the fact that, like, Terry Thatcher and Noah Walker in OTT? Hey, Terry Thatcher and Sammy D in Hard Knocks. Not a Terry Thatcher going on in my life at the moment. He's fucking brilliant at having real emotion and working with his. He doesn't put a voice on. He doesn't try to put a voice on like Renzo Rose, who's actually from Lucan. You know? Or you had the likes of a Santino Marella, who was a character. Kofi Kingston for a while was a character. All of these lads, just like Renzo Rose, complete fake Italian, runs a chipper. But he's fascinating in that he's actually from Italy. So he's allowed to talk like an Italian person. Whereas you have the likes of a Session Ma, who is just really, she's from Dublin. So she's very Dublin. She's very, very Dublin. And that's the difference between a Session Ma and, like a Sammy D who plays things a little bit more subtly. He doesn't play up the Dublinness of it. He's not playing a character. He's not one of the lads from the flats. He's not one of the social elite. You got Maxer and Matthew Bullet Smith, who are all playing it like this. Yeah, okay, and we are the social elite. Revere us. But you're not the kings of the north. Damien Corcoran's not putting on a fucking accent. That's the way he fucking talks. Bella fucking's kind of bonsai. It's very sad. They all blur together in my mind because they're all beautiful Nordy men, and I love them ever so much. But there's what are you? Yeah. What are you? Who are you? What do you have that you've actually had in your life that would color you as a character? And then you're into the art of selling. You're trying to sell people, convince people of something. But how you convince people of something is entirely different than the way I would convince people of something.
Yeah.
And everyone has a, hey, I've worked in retail. I know what it means to try and sell fucking things to people. I like going on truth, and I really like this because this, and this, and look at this, and this is actually tangible, and it's undeniably factual what I'm saying about this hoodie right here. Look at it. There it is. Look at the color. Look at this. Look at that. Look at this. And it's not like this and that. And you have real examples to work from. But that's my way of doing it.
Yeah.
If I was to try and tell somebody how to do something, it's be more yourself. Be 100% more you. And if you're going to be a character, don't fucking do it half-assed. You've seen me right now do characters, and I don't go at them lightly. You throw yourself, you have to, and even as yourself, you have to throw yourself into being fully what you are. And
like believe in yourself, believe in your own, believe in what you sell, because if you don't believe in what you sell, you're not going to get anyone else to believe in what you're selling, and that's basically another, like I know yourself, I mean, you used to work in retail, I worked in retail, so trying to for selling things, so you're not just like, you're selling it, the way you sell, it's like in wrestling, like, the way people might oversell too much to the point where, okay, yeah, that's a bit too much, but then people will sell perfectly, where it's like, that's the way you want to do it.
Like in terms of the physical selling and the physical, like having taken a maneuver, what a maneuver, and you take a maneuver and you do it that way. It's all, even in that, in terms of like promo and selling an idea and pitching an idea to an audience, there's a certain level of give and take in that. You have to give the right amount of energy to what it is. If I'm going to tell you that I want you back here next month for the next podcast, you better be here or else. I'm like, or else what? Or else what? What do you got to do, random man on the internet, to me? Or you pull at the heartstrings, you go, look, I'm having a great time here. It's brilliant to be here. Be talking about something that I'm really passionate about. I hope that you really, really enjoyed it. And if I get to do it again, it'd be great to see you. Thank you so. That's genuine. That's how I actually feel. And then you're into the art of the promo. Paul Heyman has great stuff. And Jim Cornette has great stuff about, you give a bit of truth and then you can weave a little bit of the fun in there, a little bit of the work and a little bit of the magic. But then, it depends on how you are as a person. It'll always dictate your vibration, your vocal performance, your physical performance. It's all there for you. But the more authentic it is, and the more close to the bone that you can get it, and the lack of that 80s, 70s, I'm gonna get you. That, will you? Been there, done that. Even the dog doesn't like it.
No, he's going like, it's like, oh, that's Hulk Hogan stuff. It's like, it's no good to me. He's more of a long-term storytelling dog. He is. He's a good one. Put your one up. Good lad. He's like, what's going on? But no, as I say, because obviously, there's people out there, say, whenever it comes to, like, some are better than others, in what to do when it comes to selling, whether it's selling, cutting a great promo and that, and some have gotten better that I've seen on, especially with OTT and things like that. You've seen, seen yourself, like, like I say, I've only been watching it for about just over a year now, and seeing people grow from last year to now, the way they're portraying themselves this year has gotten, they've upped their level, from not just in the ring, but like cutting their promos, doing the video packages, things like that. And because the more people sell that, the more it gets you into the product itself. So even if it's just selling that match, even as a promo level, you look at BDE, for example, with the way they're sort of packaging themselves and that, like keeping it like almost sort of old school, but keeping it new and keeping it fresh, so fresh that, Andrex are putting a complaint in about there's so many toilet rolls being used in their videos and that. But the less said about that, the better. Sorry, Josh and Nikki and JB for that. But that's the thing, 'cause that's what makes it entertaining for us to watch, to see, and to see that as a package and people being brought into that. It's like, oh, here, wait a minute, this has been used by WWE. That's pretty cool, and they're actually using it in their sort of promo type of thing as well. And like I said, and it goes with everything that they package themselves to be. They're a heel team. They're they're a bit fun in doing what they do, and that. And as I said, one day I hope they just take things more seriously and switch up their game. And that,
they're willing to be made fools of, which is very rare in heels. Everyone wants to be cool. Everyone wants to be tough, and everyone wants to be like, yeah, that's great. But like is that always? Can you always be tough? Can you always win? No, if you're not Hulk Hogan. There's. Look, it's far be it for me. I'm a very enthusiastic fan, who has dipped his toe into even remotely considering actually performing. But hey, I write story about wrestling is good, and I've only been able to make it legitimate due to the fact that Mr. Niall Foxy Fox is involved in it and is a co-writer and a co-producer. But like, through talking to him, I'm learning so much more about. There's not a lot that you can control as a wrestler. You can go training, learn the moves, and you get out there and it could fall flat on its arse and people could just not give a shit. Or the match beforehand could have been so fucking good that they're just not willing to deal with. Let me tell you something, brother promo. And that's where the authenticity comes in. Because that'll always resonate with somebody and you can build on it. BDE have been great in taking a little bit and building on it, a little bit and building on it, a little bit and building on it. And I'm not just talking about like the layers of toilet paper that they could probably build their entire papier-mâché house with at this stage. But there's a lot in just small steps.
Yeah.
Little steps. Small steps will get you there, because if you're paying attention to the audience and you're getting like legitimate criticism and feedback off people and you're willing to listen to that and improve and try and get yourself to the next level, or try that voice out, try that, maybe think a little bit differently, come at it from a different angle. I've been at this for ages and it's not getting anywhere. Go the other route,
Yeah, because I mean, you see yourself. I mean, there's so many people who, within wrestling, like, they'll stay the same kind of character for ages, and then not change, and then be like, okay, so this isn't working. Should I change or should I? Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes it's not all up to them. It's up to whoever's like basically in charge of the promotion. This is the way they want them packaged, and sometimes that can be a bad thing, because they might try and keep them packaged like that for their careers, and they'll be like, no, I don't want packaged this way all the time. I want to be repackaged. I want to be this because the fans aren't getting behind this character. I want to go this way. That it's like for example, like, I mean, there's so many wrestlers out there, even like on the local scene type of thing, where you kind of can go like, okay, they've been repackaged before, we'll repackage them again in this way, rebrand them this way. They'll still say that. So, for example, like whenever Sammy D was in the Gymnasties, like he was always known as kind of like almost like a good guy whenever he was with them, and then obviously left them and things like that, and then obviously formed a draw, became a heel, and it was the best thing for him. Do you know what I mean? And the draw, and to me, it was the best thing for him, because it made him from the past, I would say, 18 months. He's probably been one of the best on the island, hands down, because like grown and like with obviously winning the NLW championship, becoming a tag team champion, being as I say, the world champion, being the first ever Irish Grand Slam champion for OTT, all within a sake of like 12 to 18 months, and that's and the fact that he's taken on so many.
There's a sharp rise and a sharp fall, not unlike the trajectory of a triangle. Things aren't going exactly the way they had been going, and you can only have so like there's a lot of subtleties in what he does that doesn't get appreciated.
Yeah.
And now it's into a different chapter for Sammy D now. He's lost the title. What's going on with the draw? You know, there's subtleties going on there with Jay. There's subtleties going on with Maxted and Be Cool are kind of off doing it's interesting because there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to be said for what'll happen on the eventual return of, Charlie Sterling. There's subtleties, but that's all based on the fact that we don't know. But so much of what wrestling is all about instant gratification and that's with any media product.
Oh yeah.
That's with anything. Quick, we have their attention. Get them now. Get them now. Get them now. Get them now. And that doesn't always work.
No.
And it can. Jeez, if you can go for the fucking Hogan Austin run and fucking run it till the wheels fall off, great. But if you can't, then how else can you do it? And you get subtle then.
Yeah.
And you get clever then. And you start working. And you start just getting a little bit blurry and using what is real and known and folding it into what you have. Like a baker folding in your ingredients. And maybe that ingredient didn't work for this one. You try a different recipe the next time and you try these subtleties, and then you will never know until an audience tells you.
Yeah.
It's never fully done until an audience reacts. It's never fully done until it's posted. It's never fully done until because it's not for you as a wrestler or vocal performer or fucking comic book writer. It's never fully done until an audience consumes it.
Yeah.
And even then you might not be allowed no. For the love of God, everyone get Newton Bat Productions on Instagram and tell me how great we are because it's all well and good, but that's that product. I don't know if people enjoy it because they read it and they put it down and that's it. But whereas wrestling's instant feedback, stand-up comedy, instant feedback, theatre performance, instant feedback, films, television, recording podcasts, that and like that, you don't know until it's posted. Yeah. And even then, people might not be bothered. So if you did enjoy this podcast, please do let us know below. And if you didn't enjoy this podcast, please let us know, but in a nice way.
Yeah.
Don't hurt our feelings. But these are things you don't think about, in that if you're not listening and you don't adapt, what if Sammy D stayed as champion for another year? Would it have been could that have been interesting? Could it would have mirrored Roman Reigns? What are we going to do with that? Or they did what they did because of circumstances that I didn't even know about. Complete fantasy booking in my brain. You never know what's going to happen until it happens, and when it happens, you don't know if it's good or bad until someone gives you feedback. No. And then once you get that feedback, what do you do with it? Yeah. Do you take it on board? Do you take it on the chin and go, all right, I can see people may or may not be responding well. I could give two fucks about anyone singing or playing a guitar with their mammy. I don't give a fucking shit about that particular gimmick. I don't care. But it's serving to maybe get somebody else into the fans' good graces. So maybe that's an interesting thing. But that's for me. I don't like that thing. And hey, I'm happy for it because I get to maybe go elsewhere for 5 minutes. But then other people could love it and be really invested in it. And they're right. They're right to like it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm wrong to not like it. And I should shut up because I've nothing constructive to say. I've nothing positive to say about it. So why the fuck would I bother me bollocks? But then there could be something in the works that I didn't even consider because I've just, whatever. I don't like it right now. It's going to be the best angle in OTT history. Who's to fucking say? I don't know.
And that's the thing, because I mean, for all we know, like the young man who's behind the guitar could end up having a match against Jeff Jarrett at WrestleRama, for all we know. Do you know what I mean? And it's going to be guitarist against guitarist. You just don't know. Brian Adams could show up and have a guitar off with him. You just don't know. Do you know
where is Elias? Oh, come on.
Everyone.
Everyone, a three-way guitar match. Come on to fuck.
Oh,
Jeff Jarrett, Elias, and whatever the fuck we're calling. What in the name of Jesus is that young man's name? That's how disinterested I am.
Dara Lynch. Dara Lynch.
Dara Lynch. There you go. Dara, I'm sorry. I hate the gimmick. You're fucking brilliant, though. You've been running fucking ring crew for fucking years and you're finally getting your shot. Does nothing for me, but that doesn't mean you don't keep going and do it to fucking spite me. Look at me in the front row the next time and call me a bollocks, because I am.
and that's the thing, too, because, I mean, like, you know, we've just listed a match there that, you know, there's a potential there that there's something that could actually work with, even if it's somebody like even a country western or somebody like that. Bring them in, you know, for a spot with them. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, I hear you play guitar. It's like the next thing. It's like, yeah, it's like, this is my song that I sing to you, blah, 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 and it's like who is this guy? It's like he can't even put a note together.
Let's put a banjo on Boots. Come on.
Oh yeah.
And so I heard the fucking Golden Boy Santos can play the accordion. Yeah.
I'd say there'd be, you know, bring the band back. You know.
Please, can we get Weird Al Yankovic at a show? Let's make that happen. Oh, he's so good. Just to hear the Hamilton polka live. He's so good.
Yeah. So, as I say, one of the reasons why I say got yourself on was to also talk about this beautiful comic that you got in the background, and this beautiful comic that I got in front of me here called Wonderful. And just so, obviously, you know, for those who, as I say, don't know, so Wonderful is about a story about Alex, who's a pro wrestling fan, and he's just starting to see how hard it is to become a professional wrestler. This is what it really takes to look fake. And hold on just tight enough, because this comic is set for Wonderful.
I really appreciate that everybody who's at an independent wrestling show says the name of my comic. It really means a lot to me. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Now, if you could just take that enthusiasm and buy it, buy my comic. Buy mine and Foxy's comic. Thank you. Do you like Foxy? He wrote a comic. Don't worry about me. I'm a jackass. Everyone loves Foxy. Buy Foxy's comic.
The funny thing is, because I know, because I was listening to another podcast, and I know they, you know, with One Fall in Mind, you know, sort of having about holding the comics up and every time, like, whenever it's like, this match is shit for One Fall, and the people will be like, why are people holding up a comic book? And I'm like, oh, okay, where can I get this One Fall comic? No, Fox.
It has not gone past our recognition that we should make fold out signs or something with the logo on it. It's just a way of bankrolling that. So buy the comic, we can make creative, fun merch for everybody. Look at that! Look at it! It looks like a big finger. Imagine a foam finger with one fall. I would happily do that, but I need the money. Buy the comic, we can do the fun stuff. That's the pyramid scheme. That's how we do it. We're grassroots and independently funded. You know, I have to feed my child. I have to put petrol in the car. I need to keep the lights on. But I also want to make really cool stuff. Like, we're looking at t-shirts and hoodies and fucking, like, anything we can think of. Stickers, badges, anything. Go on, nipple piercings, whatever you want. If people will buy it, we'll put it down. You know, this next piercing is set for one nipple. One nipple. Foxy's gonna kill me. Stop derailing the pitch. But like the story in itself is like super personal for me. It's super personal for Foxy as well, and it's multi-layered in the fact that we're hoping to be able to hit two markets of wrestling fans and comic fans and bring them together. Because just fuck it, give me your money. But like, I'm a writer. I've been writing since I was like 12. I love stories, obviously love characters and voices, and a lot of this is me putting a bet on myself. This started from one of Foxy's streams. Yeah. Someone asked him a question of what would you do if you weren't reffing or actively involved in wrestling. And he said, I'd love to write a comic. And I said, oh, that's great. Do you know any writers? He was like, not really. He was like, oh, I know one. He was like, who? I'm like, me. and the rest is history. And like, I put a bet on myself, and I jumped on a Zoom call with Foxy. We started shooting ideas back and forth. He is, now, look, he's gonna really hate this. The chap's a fucking genius when it comes to storytelling and presenting and visual ideas, both wrestling gimmicks and storytelling. He's really fucking smart.
And he really is, and that's the thing. He doesn't get enough credit for that, and I know he doesn't like taking credit, and that's the thing about Foxy, because we know what he's like. On that level, because I mean, we know, like I've seen, I know we've talked on stuff before where he's good at giving people advice, that are in front of the camera, but he's not good at taking it for himself, type of thing, to use for himself. Whereas for others, he would be like behind the camera, going like, okay, you do this, you do that, fine, grand.
By his own admission, and the video logs are there to prove it. But he's a fucking genius. He's talk about voice acting. He's got equally as many, maybe not as many as me, but certainly extremely impressive vocal changes he can do. I have to sit down with him and see how many actual voices he can do. I haven't tested him. Challenge Foxy. Challenge for Foxy. But like, he's like, look, he's literally like, he's my creative partner, my co-producer. I love the guy unequivocally as a human being and as an artist. He does, see the bead art he does, holy shit. The way he takes, see, look at that, see in the background there, Rob Good, available. Mr. Niall Foxy Fox. But like, in the same way, everybody has a version of creativity. I believe everybody has a version of creativity in them, or a version of presenting, or a version of acting in them. An expression I heard was, everybody has a book in them, or a story worth telling. I think everybody has something in them that's worth being on a podcast or in a wrestling ring or something like that, if you can just figure out the angle of it. But like, that was something that me and Foxy took. We took really personal experiences of me being a wrestling fan and him being a wrestling fan, and him being having trained as a pro wrestler and since become a like intergalactic standard of pro wrestling referee. But there's something in, we have poured everything into this. Everything I said about be authentic, be yourself, give 100% of yourself, it's in Onefall.
Yeah,
it's there.
Yeah.
Everything I believe about storytelling and visual storytelling, there's subtleties in that comic book that you wouldn't know on first read, and then you go back and realize that this page and that page, oh look, the panels are the same. By design, that's one subtlety. I'll give nothing else away. But feel free to DM me once you've bought the thing, and I'll tell you all the secrets. But there's
maybe not all the secrets.
But there's so much, even in issue 1, there's so many things in it that we not painstakingly, but we like really carefully thought about and planned and challenged each other on, and be like, can be better. Let's do better. Let's go again. Another draft, second draft, third draft, fourth draft. And we stayed at it and at it and at it for a solid year of writing and planning and production. And then we brought like Jack Morris on board. He's an amazing visual creator in his own right, an amazing storyteller. He has his own YouTube channel. He's on Webtoon. He's on Instagram. That's just like the three of us, as in writers. I'm a writer / conceptual artist. I technically drew the comic myself, and it was shit. So then we got Jack to do it. And he's another guy, and I'll say it, he's a fucking genius. He's really, really good at what he does. Yeah. And everybody has that. Everybody has something that they can be really, really good at if you put the time in. I happen to be writing since I was 12. I happen to be doing voices since before that. Foxy loves stories and loves storytelling and creativity and anything like that. And Jack's a fucking genius, an amazing visual artist, but also knows his fucking stories as well. And then we've brought in some, used the advice of so many people, and it's we wouldn't have done it on our own. I certainly wouldn't have done it on my own.
Yeah.
Fucking hell. But collaboration and shared ideas and not being afraid to ask people for help and not being afraid to take advice. Tracy Sayers of Tom and Comics, she's tanked in the comic as well. I think it's Wes Allard. Oh fuck, fucking Wes. I know him as Wes, who's had his own comic and produced in America, and like Tracy linked us to him. There's all these types of people that gave us inspiration and pushed us to the next level. Like you have to, yeah, if you have enough people around you who are willing to give their time to you, and you pay it back by putting in the hours, and you pay it back by, you know, like we like there's a commission, like everything that we do is commissioned and is signed off on, and it's guaranteed that the money that we make goes back into the comic. We're looking at, we have a convention coming up in April. And we're like, bit of a quick turnaround for April. What's the best we can do? Said, right, we're going to try and get a material banner for the table, and then I don't know what else can we do. So we have a few stickers kicking around, but let's get more stickers. We'll get bigger ones, and maybe we'll give them out for free just to get people engaged. Like little things like that we're thinking of. It's just like, we're not trying to gouge people money, but I want to give people something that they can love and enjoy, and hopefully we make issue 2 and issue 3, issue fucking 100. But we're limiting the fact that, we're all self-funded. So if any millionaires want to give me loads of money to make it, yes, please. I'll quit my job tomorrow and I'll be a full-time comic book producer and voice actor. Fucking come on.
I know Tony Khan may not be listening to this episode specifically, but if he is, I know he likes his wrestling. Tony Khan, jump on the bandwagon for one fall.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's like, so you're talking about there, potential, further issues and things like that. So obviously, when as I say, obviously with this already being out, this is issue number 1, and that obviously the fans are expecting an issue number 2 at some point. How far in the process were you sort of, because sometimes different people do it differently, where they might start writing on episode, on like number 10 rather than number 1, because they want to start at the end rather than the start as such. What was your process in actually sort of coming up with not just the idea of this being issue 1 as such, but then obviously, what's the mindset for going into number 2?
We have up until issue 10 fully written. We know exactly issue 1 to 10. It's the first major. There's 1 to 3 is a mini arc, and issue 1 to 10 is the original story that I had conceptualized and brought to Foxy, and then he added his stuff and he added his ideas and went, I like this, maybe tweak that and add this. So like we have up until issue 10, maybe issue 15, but like, you know what I mean? Like we have a full story planned, and we've laid the seeds of issue 5 already in issue 1. There's little things that we have we have this full concept of ideas and this full idea, like we're trying to tell multi-layered, interesting, multi-character stories. Alex is our main character right now that you know of. And as far as you're concerned, the story is just about Alex. We have other characters that will be introduced and that actually might be more popular than Alex. And we do have a tiny provision after issue 10 to maybe we go a little bit with this character or that character or this character. And ultimately after issue 10, we start going on the road with them. They're not trainees anymore. They're going to shows in England or France or Japan, maybe. We have all of this kind of worked out. But there's a set idea, a set story. It's a good fucking story. I'm really, really, really proud of it. And I want people to see it because ultimately you're going to hate me because there's a twist coming and it's going to get you. I hope. Like, that's the... Like, we'd be cackling at ideas of like, oh, people are going to hate. Like, you know, you've read issue 1.
Yeah.
Bet you weren't expecting that to happen to the Ma, were you?
Can't say I wasn't surprised.
Yeah, but like we're swinging hard.
Yeah.
We're swinging hard early on to hopefully, like you say, hey, what happens in issue 2? I can tell you,
Yeah.
in issue 2, Alex goes training.
Nice.
Alex goes and takes a bump for the first time, and everything that entails. All the interesting intricacies and skill and passion and determination that's required to become a professional wrestler gets showcased in issue 2 with a view of seeing what this fan can become. And in theory, for issue 3, maybe his first match. But we don't know if he's going to get past training yet. Ultimately, I don't know if we're going to sell enough of the issue to see if issue 3 will get made. But that's an interesting way of saying it. Like, there's so much involved in it that, like, I'm not being cagey. I don't want to spoil that, but being realistic, I can only show you issue 10 if you buy issues 1 to 9. and everyone who bought issue 1 needs to buy issue 2, and everyone who bought issue 2 needs to tell a friend to buy issue 1 and then buy issue 2. Like it's
and that's the thing too, because like I mean, as you know, like I've read issue 1, and I say anyone who's bought it, I would imagine by now has read it and is obviously looking for more of this story to continue. At least this one we know is going to continue, and that because I mean there's plenty of stories out there that either not continued or they're not going to continue because they're going to either end badly for some people, some maybe good, who knows. And that's the thing. But with One Fall, as I say, it's a really good comic, really well written, really well laid out, and that which is what you want in a comic as well. It's not, it's like, I mean, you say yourself, it's it's a fan, it's a wrestling comic type of thing, but even for those who don't get wrestling, the fact that even if somebody who was just on the comics looks at saying like, oh, okay, what's this about? I'll pick up this issue, see what it's about, and actually be really into it. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't take someone who's into wrestling to actually know what this is actually about.
Yeah, like we could have gone at it. And thank you. We could have gone at it like full on wrestling terminology, full on this, full on that. And we toyed with it. Foxy put me right, and was like, only on the basis that he was able to share a really interesting personal view about wrestling and about him as a performer. I was like, oh, this isn't just a wrestling comic anymore. This actually has heart about what it means to try and do something that's maybe putting you outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Like we talked about with the voice acting, like we talk with promos, like we talk with that, and there's a lot in it. There's a lot, you can draw a lot from this. As a person, I'm a creative person, you're a creative person, people who maybe had a bit of bullying in their lives, or people who maybe doubted themselves, or people who maybe didn't get praised. And for people who maybe, and you'll see it in issue 1, alone in their bedroom when everyone else has given up on wrestling. There's the the boom of the 90s led to a bit of a decline in fandom, and I stayed being a wrestling fan, and I know what it means to be the weirdo who's still into wrestling. Or you could be the weirdo who's into Magic the Gathering, or you're the weirdo who's into, pick your favorite video game, pick your favorite football team, pick your favorite, all of this kind of stuff. There's a lot in it. I have like really, really tried to give people a very personal story from my point of view. Foxy's given an extremely personal story from his point of view, coupled with like legitimate expertise and Jesus Christ, what, like 15 years? I must confirm with him. Like easily 10 years plus experience of pro wrestling and focused creativity, of staying in it and watching it and being like really fuck you, Foxy. You're really clever and handsome and brilliant, and I love you to bits.
Yeah.
There you go. But like this is so much passion and love and care and detail that we've put into this, purely to honor wrestling, first of all, to put a bit of respect on wrestling as an art form, and then using a medium like comic books to showcase this. It's a visual, wrestling's a visual medium, so you need to use a visual. That was the second decision. It was like, well, it has to be a comic because wrestling's a visual medium.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a comic now. I was going to have it be like a podcast. Hey, vocal performer.
Yeah.
Or was it going to be a book? Or was it going to be like where we're going to do live action?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, and that's the thing too, because I mean, down the line, obviously, say we get down the line where there's maybe up to issue 10 done and out, you could think of like of even doing something like an almost like an audio series book from 1 to 10, or even from 10 to 20. But keeping the comic running at the same time as well, for those who want to just read it as well as having the audio. Because I mean, obviously, you do the voices, Foxy does voices, and I'm sure you could get some like a female voice artist, unless if you're very good with your female sort of vocals as well, type of thing. You could actually throw that into there as well, and that would be,
like it's something we'd considered. And we have the Ko-fi page there, we have our PayPal there, we have our Instagram page. It's something that it's been considered, but it's just a really dirty expression of having money to fund it. And we could do it all off our own back and pour so much time into it. Mm-hmm. But to what end? And we're just on the borderline of, like, we were able to fund the first printing of the issue all by ourselves. Issue 1, print 1, fully funded by ourselves, and with help from people, got us over the line. And we were able to then, through the sales of the first print, pay back to people who invested their time and their money in us. And then we were able to print the second round of printing through sales alone, which I'm so proud of.
Yeah.
And we're on that rhythm now. Yeah.
I have to applaud that, because it's not an easy thing to do. Do you know what I mean? Especially when it's just off sales themselves, rather without putting money into yourself for doing it. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I have to applaud that, because
like
it's not an easy thing to do.
We're in that pattern now where we have a little bit of money, and we're like, right, well, we've got our second print, and we probably have enough comics to do us for the convention in April, and we have a little bit of money there. Let's see what we can put in to maybe get some more stickers and get that banner. And then after that, we'll probably have to throw a bit of money into it ourselves, and petrol money and all that. And it's all out of pocket. It's all out of our own pocket, and we believe in the product. We love the story. We like One Fall is older than my son. I was writing One Fall before my son was born, and as I speak, he's like 17 months old. One Fall is older than my child. So to say that it's who do I love more, my comic or my son?
Don't go there. Don't go there.
If you buy enough of them, I'll tell you. It's for any creative person to try and put their money where their mouth is and really tell. Like I've all these grandiose ideas of what makes a good story, and I've all these theories that I've been at for years, and I've got my degree in communications and media, and I have these theories and these ideas, and I'm really passionate about it. And this has been the first time that I've stuck with it, and I've got a project over the line, and there it is, pride and place in my man cave. I'm so proud of it that I'd love for people to see the rest of the story.
Oh,
and
yeah, definitely.
Even at a push, me and Foxy have made commitments that we will at least get to issue 3. At least. And even for the people like yourself who have bought issue 1 and are interested in issue 2, if I have to, I'll just fucking buy up to issue 3, and for everyone who's gotten us this far, I'll at least be able to pay off the story for you. And you'll get a beginning, a middle, and an end. But only on, and that's bare minimum. I want to honor that because I fucking love this story and I'm so passionate about it.
And it's a really good start as well too, especially with, the first comic. And do you know what I mean? Because I mean, you're putting your time and the effort, along with Foxy and all those others that combine to help out with this as well. Especially like, obviously, the actual pictures and stuff as well, which also tell the story as well, whenever you see the pictures, in the comic type of thing, because I don't want to spoil too much for those who haven't actually seen this yet.
Well, everyone's allowed to see page 1. You can show off page 1. There you are. Look at that sexy waistcoat. Interesting.
He looks so familiar.
No.
It kind of looks almost like what would you call that fella that he does a wee bit of like
does a bit of announcing.
Yeah,
does a bit of announcing in OTT. Dennis Leary, aka Mr. Sexy Waistcoat.
Yeah, it's Mr.
There's a lot of stuff we want to do with that as well, and put in rap. You'll see in the background of Alex's bedroom specifically, there's a lot of subtleties there and nods to things we love and other things. Some of it by Jack, some of it by Foxy, and some of it by me.
Now there is actually something I've only just spotted this right now, and I just thought to myself, do you know what? This is actually kind of interesting because not too many people would have caught this on just until now. So obviously, the mother is wearing a black and white striped top.
Wasn't lost on us.
Yeah.
The joy of working with Jack is not only is he like really clever, he's a fucking meme lord like the rest of us. And we did say to him, was like, did you make that stripe because Foxy's a ref? And he didn't answer us.
Which means that is your answer.
There's so much, because of the way we've worked and because of the style of production that I and Foxy came up with and then gave to Jack. Things have set up in a way that we've allowed a little bit of serendipity. We've allowed a little bit of luck in that the way we conceptualized stuff and then provided descriptions to Jack, he was able to add so much of his own flair and personal choices and artistic choices to it that is only elevated. And that's something that I think is paramount in terms of creativity and any type of creative project, that you have to give people room to add. I could have gone in bit by bit and this way, that way, this color, that color, not that, yes, that, not that, yes, that.
Yeah.
And you lose. It's like scripting a promo. You lose a bit of magic, and there's so much in this that I never would have thought of visually.
Yeah,
and I kind of maybe could have, but there's so much in it. The color choices, the dynamic backgrounds, the just certain things that Jack has added to it that. Look, I'm the writer, and the art is the best bit. the art is the best bit. I know that, and only by the Jack's amazing.
It really is, and the thing about it, what sort of like I like about it as well, especially with the artistic behind it as well too. So you probably know yourself. Do you know the game that used to call Comic Zone?
Yeah.
It reminds you of that element, especially with the wee boxes type of thing, where it's just they're just falling out from a page, and you're turning the page over and they fall out. That's what this kind of reminds me about as well. The way it's sort of laid out in that kind of almost like kind of format type of thing, where it's just like, oh, this is very kind of like out there compared to just like comic. It's you've got speech bubbles, blah blah blah. This is like
like the visual style will lead to the part of the story that it's in. Issue 2 is a lot more action based, and will be a little bit more dialogue based. Like we're past the intro here. We're past this, the setting up stage of the story. Now we're going to start to get into it. You're going to start seeing a little bit more from the trainer and how he became a trainer, how he became involved in the training. There's a subtlety there of what exactly happened at the end. Interesting how he got chased to where he got chased, and if you pay attention to that silhouette at the end, it looks kind of similar to, you know, someone using furniture in a creative, aggressive manner.
Yeah,
May or may not be, but little things like that were hanging on, and then you'll see that in issue 2 are like, oh wow, okay, that was that. Fuck yeah. Because that's what I love that as storytelling. Foxy's fucking great at doing that. I was like, all right, we're gonna do this, and we'll pay it off here, and then we'll do this, and we'll pay it off here. Like there's so much there's so many really cool, clever ideas that are in issue 1 that won't get paid off until issue 9.
Yeah.
There's stuff that's there that you look at it and you'll try and predict it, and you'll think, is that because of this and that and this and that? Maybe. It's all thought out, and it's all like crafted and loving, you know, as lovingly. The best bit of a home cooked meal is the love that was given into it, and it's free. This comic isn't free, but it is €10. That's as close to free as we can get it.
Pretty much, yeah. And the thing about it is, I mean, it's worth every cent. Do you know what I mean? And I'm actually glad I said cent instead of like penny there, because it's euro.
The same style. I'll take your filthy farting money. Don't worry. The joy of PayPal and Revolut. Don't worry. We'll take it from you. I'll take all your money as long as I can put it in me One Fall bank account to buy more One Fall stuff.
and that's the thing, folks. As I say, I just want to continue to plug this comic because it's a really good, well thought out comic as well. And as I say, I can't build it up anymore. I really can't, because it's just too good of a comic. Even like, you know, because I haven't been one of much for in the comics as such, but I always like, you know, supporting those who, as I say, who bring out new material and new beautiful material. It's absolutely, you know, it's really, it's got everything that you want in a first comic. If you're someone who's not into wrestling, you don't need to be into wrestling realistically for this one, because as I say, it's just a start off one. But if you're into
that's the trick. That's the trick, is that for people who don't know of wrestling or aren't wrestling fans, we hope to get you, at least if not to a show, that you at least appreciate why people like it as much as we do. And for people who love wrestling, that we give you a really fucking cool story.
Definitely. And I think that's the thing too, because obviously, you know, and as I say, us as fans of the comic so far, we won't see that payoff until it gets to that latter stage of the comics itself, once they happen to be released in the order that they will be released in. And I would say the more comics are bought, the quicker that'll come out.
Literally,
pretty much.
It is cost, cause and effect, and cost and effect. Yeah. If I sell 50 comics tomorrow, that means I have that amount of money to invest in comics and time and more cool shit and maybe merch and maybe. And if people want certain things, or they think, oh yeah, I know a guy who does this, let me know. I need all the help I can get. We need all the help we can get. It's hard being independent, and it's hard being self-published, but it keeps us honest, and it keeps you directly connected to the product, much like a wrestler selling their t-shirt at a show. You know, it's going straight to us. It's all there. It's all available to you. And if you want to know anything more, or you're interested in where we're going next, we have an Instagram. It is Newton Park Productions on Instagram. You want to have a chat? I'll no bother with that at all. You want to know what's happening next, and if you're interested in the story, or you want to know some stuff, I'll happily talk to people about it. I love my comic so much. Some would say I love it more than my own child, which isn't true. My wife's going to batter me.
Especially if she listens to that bit of the podcast as well. And that's the thing too, because I mean, so you mentioned there about so you've got a convention coming up in April. Whereabouts is that convention, and what date is the convention as well?
Oh, that is a excuse me, I'm just going to very carefully stall, Rob, stall.
So yeah, so
I
as I say,
literally-
so while Brian's looking for the date and the where the convention is at, as I say, the comic book, €10. If you mention Brian Maxwell or Niall Fox, they will put you into great hands, and they will give you a beautiful comic. And if you ask them nicely, they might even sign it for you.
My signature is a smiley face.
It is. It's a beautiful little smiley face, I have to say. And Mr. Niall Fox is a beautiful
it's very
fox.
fancy. It's very fancy. Have you noticed that his is in silver? What color is mine in, Rob?
Oh, it's just like my name. It's in gold.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm getting.
Yeah, that's like I said. It's a
Now,
really beautiful comic as well.
we are confirmed for boop 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 boop. The 6th and 7th of April in Wexford Town. I am going to get the exact name of the convention because that would have been a good idea. It's fucking go on Newton Back Productions and I'll tell you all about it. But there's links to follow. How about that? Because I'm not going to fuck up the name. I know it's in Wexford Town. It's going to be over 2 days. Foxy is running the Foxy Bros table for all his various accoutrements, his pop vinyls, wrestling figures, memorabilia, and mainly his beautiful, delicious bead art, of which you can see an example of behind you. Also available, Niall Fox. He has his Instagram page. It's all there as well. And I will be left alone running the Newton Bat Productions table. So I need all the comfort and conversation that I can get. Otherwise, I'll go mad. But nobody will know the difference because I'm already mad. But there's...
and if you do happen to see Brian at a table at the Wexford Town Convention between the 6th and 7th of April, and if you do hear about 7 or 8 different voices, that might just be Brian talking to himself. You just don't know until you get to this table.
Really and truly. There's a lot that I can do. There's a lot I can do on my own, and I can only do so much. But there's so much that we owe to the people who have helped us, like yourself, who is giving us a platform and who's put the money down to actually, buy the comic and promote it. And like, it's really humbling to know that people give a shit. Because it could have gone nowhere. It could have 100% gone absolutely nowhere.
Exactly, so. And I 100% agree with that, because I mean, like it's like anything. Like, you try to sell, you're selling, yourself, in the sense of, like, you're selling what you've got on the table, like, the comic. Like, I'm selling myself, being the character Rob Gould, and that as such. So much so, like, the fact I've actually sold a T-shirt myself. I've sold a sort of printout type thing, and I've actually got money from actually human beings, which is actually weird. And that, and like you say, it is a humbling feeling, having that feeling of seeing someone either wear something that you sold or bought something that you sold, and see it actually somebody having in their hand as a bought piece of material, and you're like, it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like you have to pinch yourself sometimes, going like, I'm only a fan of wrestling, and I'm like selling things for myself, and yet people are actually buying these things as well, and you're like, it's just, yeah, it is very humbling. like I know yourself, like you're blessed with everything that as I say, with that comes with that side of things, and
Madness. I'm blessed with madness. I do have the convention. It is Badoom, the comic book expo in the Talbot Hotel in Wexford. So that's the Talbot Hotel in Wexford, the 6th and 7th of April. Badoom! There you are. I'd have shot myself now if I didn't get that in.
Well, it would have been, like I said, and at least in the sort of the wee bit I would put in, with the description of the podcast so it would be all in that anyway.
Saving the effort, but yes, Badoom! I'll never forget that now. Badoom! Will it be our doom? We don't know. Show up and find out. If I'm not at the table, I'm under it crying.
with six or seven or other voices under the table at the same time. Brian, before I go, as I say, and that before we leave, is there anything else you would like to plug at the end of this wee podcast? And if there is, you have your time whenever you're ready.
I say, first of all, thank you very much, Rob. You're a wonderful person. I hope your dog has a nice time. That's a very nice lamp. I may or may not have attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Everybody, please get checked for your mental health. It's very important. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Be kind, or I'll kill you. But yeah, look, go on to. We have Newton Bar Productions on Instagram. It's the best way to hit us up. If you know Foxy and you're a fan of his, you can always DM him and get him that way. I'm the equivalent of someone in the bushes outside. I'm not very well known, nor do I particularly need to be. I'm writing a comic with a famous wrestling referee. But for anyone who's interested in my stories and wants to know more about it, or if you have your own stories that you would like to try and get to the next level, that's what the other side of Newton Bar Productions is there for, is let's have a chat. Let's see where we can get you. Let's learn from our mistakes. And also tell me really cool stories. I want to know more stories. And if anyone wants voice acting or ideas or concepts or just some nutcase to talk to, I'm here. I'm available. And I will do all of the silly voices that you need me to do. I have no problem with that. Please enable this part of my strange personality.
Brian, it has been a wonderful pleasure to have you on this week's episode. And just before we go, as such, hit me with your best promo. And promo it for One Fall.
Comic books, wrestling, art, beauty. These are things that you may not possess yourself, but you can if you purchase the world's greatest wrestling-themed comic book. This next comic book is set for One Fall. Give me your money.
Perfection. Brian, as I say, it has been wonderful having you on this week. And as I say, all the best with One Fall. And as I say, I know myself will be looking forward to purchasing number 2 in the series, and up until like number 1000 whenever it comes out as well. By then you might have child number 3, who knows.
Don't give her ideas. I'll have a child for every issue of the comic. Or die trying.
Right. And on that note, it has been a pleasure having you, Brian. And as I say, One Fall is available to purchase if you go through Brian Maxwell, Newton Bar Productions, and with Niall Foxy Fox, and they will hit you up with this beautiful comic book, One Fall. which is available for the small fee of €10, or as much as you want to give them for the comic. And that's
10 euro plus postage and packaging. And yeah, if you want to give us more money or you feel like you want to invest in us, yeah, go ahead. No problem. I'll
There
give
we
you
go.
me leg. I'm a fair man. I'm a crazy man, but I'm a fair man.
Crazy and fair
Any-
is what we like to hear. It has been a pleasure. And Brian, again, thank you so much for coming on this episode of the Golden Nugget, where I have been Rob Gould. This has been Brian Maxwell. And this episode has been set for one fall.
that many. One fall. Fuck.
Oh, no. Where's the stuff? Where's the stuff?
Make it stop.
Oh, there's that there.